Kristine Glein. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here at the World of Wellness and Nutritional Frontiers. And everybody asks me, what is a growth officer anyway? Well, it means that I focus on all of the functions that help make the company grow. So anything from sales and marketing to client experience, to making sure that we have excellent customer service all the way through, working with our product team to make sure we're delivering the right products to continue to help make the world healthy. So I have the best job in the world. I get to work with incredible people like Jamie Dorley leading our team. He asked me to come today to actually talk about my own holistic healthcare journey. And I really think I have to kind of press the rewind button and kind of talk about, well, how did I land here in the first place as the Chief Growth Officer? And then kind of talk to you about my own journey. Obviously, as Chief Growth Officer, I'm also, the creator of something called the Soul Intelligence Method, which is the most powerful bioenergetic method available today. And so that's part of my journey and part of what led me to work with Nutritional Frontiers in the World of Wellness. So how did all this happen? Well, actually, about 25 years ago or so, it's probably higher than that now, I functioned as a corporate growth and turnaround specialist in the field of higher education. And I routinely identified people and processes and technology that weren't working well together with the goal of actually streamlining these operations and improving business outcomes. And so in essence, I was uncovering where energy was stuck in people, places, or things, what processes were creating stagnation and needed to shift, and what technology no longer supported the operation. In my current role, I really try and serve as what I call a conscious leadership executive. And I focus on transforming individuals and teams into game-changing leaders. So another function as Chief Growth Officer is to focus on human capital, human resources, and developing our people, right, to become these incredible leaders in their own right, thereby increasing performance, consistency, and alignment so that they can make a greater impact for our clients, our coworkers, our colleagues, employees, and of course patients of the world of wellness. But in order to do that, I have to use all of my abilities, including the Soul Intelligence Method, to positively impact the lives of all of these incredible people. In terms of my areas of expertise, like who am I anyway, right? It includes bioenergetics, it includes marketing and sales and human capital development, operations, customer experience, and client retention. And in case you are wondering, I do have a master's degree in organizational management from the University of Phoenix, a Bachelor of Arts degree in speech communication from Bloomsburg University, and I'm actually a certified, ICA certified professional coach, and of course, the founder, creator, and certified practitioner of the Soul Intelligence Method. I currently reside in Tampa, Florida most of the time, although I am in Pittsburgh quite often. And I'm actually enjoying the fact that we've had some snow this week while I've been here. Just light, just a little bit, just to kind of put a real beautiful white, divine white glistening around. And I do live in Tampa, having two successful grown adult men, one who is a nurse and studying to be a nurse practitioner. He should be finished with his degree by the end of the summer. And also an underwater bridge inspector. Yeah, he has a really cool job. My second son actually gets to manage other people and teams to inspect bridges in the state of Florida from the water level down. So he's also super physical. I'm an avid tennis player. I've talked about that a lot. As a matter of fact, 3 of my teams are participating in the state sectionals in Florida. 1 in December, 1 in January, 1 in February. As a matter of fact, when I leave here tomorrow, I'm going to be going back to Florida to play in one of those tournaments over the weekend. So I'm pretty excited about that. I am also into gardening, wine, and boating, and occasionally you can get me out 9 holes of golf. All right, so why share all that with you? Well, I wanted to share a little bit of my background and my story, and rewind how I wound up here with Nutritional Frontiers in the World of Wellness. It happened in March of 2020. Anybody recall what was happening of March of 2020? Yeah, that was the start of the COVID pandemic. It was actually March 12th of 2020 to be exact, when I was in what was to be my last corporate turnaround. We were on year one of a planned 3-year turnaround, and I was really excited because we were already starting to make the turn. And this was in higher education, enrolling students in school, making sure that they got the education they needed and they got to graduate. And I loved my team, as I do. Obviously, I love people. I love working with people and developing people. And I was responsible for about 1,000 people in 3 different locations, San Diego, Denver, and Phoenix. And I had just received a performance bonus because we were doing well. We were starting to make the turn. And I got a phone call from the head of HR letting me know that my services were no longer needed. I was like, what? That was the shock of my life. I had never been fired before, ever, okay? And I'm 55 now, so that's pretty impressive record because I always met or exceeded expectations. So I was like, wait, what? Needless to say, I was in shock, right? And so I immediately texted my boss and I said, I just got fired. And he said, me too. And I was like, what? So essentially, what had happened was we had put together a board presentation for the CEO of that company, my boss and I, and our incredible data team, to show that if we were allowed to hire people in the 4th quarter like we had been begging to, and the CEO said no, that not only would we have met the 1st quarter's numbers, we would have exceeded the expectation. So he took that information and decided he would exit the 2 of us, and he walked into the board meeting with our presentation and went on a hiring spree. Oh yeah, well, don't worry, I do believe in karma, okay? He no longer has the company, and he ran the company into the ground, so it no longer exists. Okay, well, back to me. Okay, that was part of my story, but true story. So what did I do? It was crazy, right? When I got that phone call, the other part that I didn't share is that my spouse was actually undergoing a biopsy for prostate cancer. I was literally in the doctor's office. So my entire world turned upside down. I was 53, out of work, shocked. I went through all the stages of grief, depression, and in the midst of COVID, where there was no chance of getting a job, everybody was trying to figure out, how do we manage this thing? How do we get people to work from home? How do we navigate through? I was confused and hurt and lost and angry, and I went through this entire spectrum of emotions involved in the grieving process. And trust me, I wallowed them all, okay? Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. Later on, I'll just tell you, because I'm really kind of into energy and all this stuff, I asked an astrologer what happened to me on March 12th of 2020. And she said, oh, that's easy. You went from 29 degrees to 0 degrees in the house of work and service. I'm like, what? She goes, you spent 29 years of working for someone else, and now you're entering a 30-year period of working for yourself. So talk about crazy accuracy. Well, obviously I remember the moment when it all shifted for me. It was actually, I completed a powerful meditation with tears streaming down my face, and I knew I just couldn't go back into big corporate America again. I knew if I did that, I'd be betraying my true nature. It felt soul-crushing, like I couldn't breathe. And I got really honest with myself, and I listened to the divine, and I realized that I had been going through the motions for a very long time. I wasn't in touch with my true authentic self. And I had tried all the things, okay, checked all the outside boxes, right? But I wasn't following my path. I wasn't listening to my soul intelligence, which was screaming at me now. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt it was time for me to come out of the spiritual closet, okay, and stand in my true power, my zone of genius. And it was time to bring the power of soul intelligence into the world. So here's what I did. Very next day, I sat down and I emailed my doctor. She happens to be one of Nutritional Frontier's most incredible clients. She's one of our VIPs. She uses so many of Nutritional Frontier's products and helps so many people. So I sat down and I emailed her. And I shared with her that the stressed out, plane hopping lunatic with the fried adrenals that she knew had a hidden talent. I explained how I was able to shift stuck energy, how I was able to move negative emotions, destructive thoughts, repetitive unhealthy patterns, and self-limiting beliefs without someone having to relive the trauma that caused it in the first place. And I said, will you take a risk walk with me, and will you let me come in? And she offered to clear, I offered to clear my afternoon and wait for her to be available in her office because she's constantly seeing patients. And so I started with one of her doctors. As magically, she had 2 last-minute cancellations, which never happens to her either. So thank you to the divine again for that intervention. And the first doctor that I did the soul intelligence method with had such a powerful release that she was crying, amazed at the accuracy of the information, all the details that came up, and she was so moved that she spilled her water all over the floor. So typically when water flows, that means your emotions are flowing. And at that precise moment, my doctor, the incredible Lisa Coach, poked her head in the office and asked how it went, took one look at her associate and said, wow, I'm next, pick me. And it was game on. So this moment for me, I had this new awareness. It was when I finally made the decision to let go of what was no longer serving me, right? What wasn't working for me anymore. And once I let go of that old rope and I made the decision to trust my intuition by tapping into my soul intelligence, that's when everything opened up for me. Taking a leap of faith in spite of what it looks like on the outside. To this day, my doctor, along with a whole host of other healthcare professionals, refer clients to me on a regular basis. And I work with them individually on their families, their patients, their staffs, their friends, and more. And what's really wild is Lisa also practices traditional medicine. She's an MD. She also has integrative medicine and functional medicine, where she teaches her clients about the 11 pillars of health. And the 11th pillar of health is energy work. It's soul intelligence. It's really the ultimate biohack. And so soul intelligence is really what I feel called to do and to share in the world. And certainly the science behind it and why it works, okay? And I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But I wanna tell you a little bit more about my personal journey. After having made the decision to work soul intelligence into my life, I needed to figure out, okay, how am I gonna share this with the world? So I started coaching. I started working with incredible executives. I started working with leadership teams. I put together a whole leadership training program. And as part of that program, I offered the group program 3 one-on-ones with each of the leaders that I was working with. And the first one-on-one was a traditional coaching session. And just for those of you who don't know the difference between coaching and counseling, it's really fun. Coaches work with you where you are and help you get where you want to go. Okay, counselors or psychologists tend to work with you where you are and take you backwards to figure out how you got here. So coaches are a little bit more forward-looking, okay? And what the power of the soul intelligence method does is allows me to clear all the stuff back here without you having to relive the trauma, which is really what counselors and psychologists are trained to do, to bring up that emotion so that you can actually release it, right? But there's a lot of pain involved with that. With my method, it comes up from the subconscious mind to the conscious mind where we release it. All right, so back to leadership program, the 3 one-on-ones. So I did a traditional one-on-one coaching session where we got to know each other. I use an incredible tool called the Game Changing Index, which actually shares with you where your motivations come from, where you, what are your innate gifts in terms of where your energy wants to go. And it's actually a tool we use here with all of our employees at the Nutritional Frontiers and World of Wellness. But it's a really cool tool that was developed by researchers in the UK. They were looking for game changers, those people that come up with those wild, crazy, out-of-the-box ideas. And they're like, I know these people exist, but where do we find them? And so when they went out to do this research, they found that people have 5 major proclivities, okay? And that game changer is one of those, and that there are other types of skill sets that people have that innately inspire them, like the work that lights them up from the inside out. So in the first session, I would do a game-changing index, right? Which was you'd either have some energy for game-changing, you might have energy for strategy, like taking those new ideas and working them into a plan. You might be someone that is more of an implementer. You're the doer. You like to execute on the plan. You like to hit the goal, produce the widget, right? And then there's these polishers, people that like to always find new ways of doing things even better, kind of focused on continuous improvement. Go to a little bit to the perfectionist side at worst, but always trying to make things better. And then you have the people that are in the middle, the playmakers. And the playmakers really love to manage through others, and they love to manage through consensus. And if you have a score of like 7 to 10 in any one area, that's where your energy naturally wants to go. Those types of activities are going to inspire you and motivate you and keep you ready to go. If you have a score of like 4 to 6 in any one area, that means you have some energy for it. You can kind of flex into those areas. It takes a little more thought, but you kind of like that too. It's kind of like your secondary. And then if you have a 1 to 3 in any one area, that means you absolutely do not have any energy for it. You don't want to do it, and it's extremely draining if you attempt to do that kind of work. But if you're interested in learning more about the Game Changing Index, you can go to the Game Changing Index online. They're an incredible company that we still partner with today. So anyway, so I do this traditional like assessment first. And then the next session, it's kind of like the midpoint check, right? How are you using the skills that I've taught? How are you using the different techniques? Have you tried this? What's going on? How's work going? How's personal life going? And I get to know that client even deeper. So then we get to the end of the program. And on the last session, I decided, okay, instead of going my traditional corporate leadership training route, I'm going to give people a choice. And I'm going to ask them, would you like to do a soul intelligence session and take a risk walk with me where we really find out what's causing all of this stuff to manifest in your life? Or would you like a traditional coaching session? Every single person took the risk walk with me and wanted a soul intelligence session. And that's when I knew I was onto something. So I had the opportunity to work with incredible executives and genius minds like Jamie Dorley. And we started a one-on-one coaching relationship back in 2021. And then I wound up working with his leadership team and his extended teams in 2022. And then he kept using my own coaching tools on me, which one of the things I talk about a lot is journaling what you want to see and how does it feel and what does it look. And he kept saying, you're going to work for me full time someday. And manifest destiny, it certainly happened. So August of last year, I joined the team full time. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I ever did. And the reason that is because it really helped me with my own personal holistic health journey. So I started kind of making the transition from the traditional corporate America to my own coaching world, and starting to introduce the world to bioenergetic medicine through the soul intelligence method. And then I learned a whole lot about how the body works and how the body functions and how I could change my internal body chemistry, not only through meditation and the soul intelligence work, but by actually really being more conscious about what I put into my body. I mentioned to you, I was a plane hopping adrenal junkie. I still have some of that today. But I've got more tools in my arsenal to be able to manage that stuff. And I learned a whole lot about what my body needs in order to be healthy. And the last 2 years, I'm probably in the best physical shape I've ever been in. I mentioned that, I'm an avid tennis player, so when I'm not here in Pittsburgh, my weekends are pretty full of tennis. And I have been able to, do really well and maintain my ability to play by using a lot of the products with Nutritional Frontiers. And I'm going to share with you some of my favorite protocols. One of the first things I needed to do when I was learning about nutraceuticals and how they work in the body, I love learning new stuff, by the way. And so I was an avid student. I would listen to Joe Messino and Jamie Dorley talk about the products and the ingredients and how they work in the body. And we were in a meeting once, and I let it slip that I was on 20 milligrams of losartan. And Joe Messino was like, "What? We gotta get you off that." I'm like, "Why? My cardiologist says I need to be on it." He's like, you don't need to be on it. We need to fix this. And so I was like, whoa, okay. So I listened to him and one of our other practitioners, Dr. Len Bransowitz, who often talks about the journey from allopathic or traditional medicine to naturopathic medicine. And I'm not saying there's not a place for both. I think there really is. You know, if I'm bleeding or if I broke my arm, I gotta go to the emergency room and have that attended to immediately. But for some of our more chronic conditions, I think that's really where naturopathic medicine comes in, right? And healing the body naturally. Our bodies are designed to heal, right? And if you support them internally the way you need to, I equate it to kind of a computer, garbage in, garbage out. You have to think about your body as this machine, right? And you really have to be conscious about what you put in it. So I worked with my nurse practitioner, Jacqueline Shedden, another one of our incredible clients, along with Dr. Len Bransowitz and Joe Messino, and we came up with an incredible protocol that works for me that I take every single day. It is our 7 flowers, and those are like Chinese herbs that have been around for a while. There's these tiny little micro pellets, so I take 6 in the morning and 6 at night, and then I take 2 of our Circucore to help the circulation in my body every morning, and I take 1 of our CoQ10s. So that's DMG and CoQ10, because one of the things that your body needs is CoQ10, and that's especially good for the heart. So I have been doing this now religiously for 2 years, and I don't take any medications whatsoever. That was the only one that was prescribed to me, other than the occasional Xanax. And now, fortunately for me, we have something cool called Calm Day, so I don't have to take that either. And so that's a great way to manage my stress. But I can tell you the other benefit for 7 flowers for me was also it reduces inflammation in the eye. Now, you don't really think about your eyes too much, or I don't usually. I mean, I wear contacts on a regular basis and have glasses, and I've had to wear them since I was 10. So I'm kind of used to my vision not being great. But I went through an extremely stressful time earlier this year, and it was kind of funny. I went to the eye doctor, and I was so excited to get new contacts because with my glasses, I have something called progressive lenses, right? So that you can see up close at the bottom, you can see the computer in the middle, and then you can see distance at the top of the lens. And my eye doctor says to me, we have contact lenses that'll do that now. I'm like, really? So I was so excited. So I got these new contact lenses, and then I went to Orlando because, of course, one of my tennis teams was in sectionals at the time. So I went to play in the tennis tournament. And you get dehydrated, right? You got to kind of manage like how much water intake you've got going. Certainly, I'll share with you my favorite formula that keeps me on the court while I'm on the court. I always do our vanilla super shake with our orange power fuel and our pro oranges. It tastes like an orange creamsicle. We call it the dreamsicle here, but it is delicious, and that really helps me get that energy. So especially, I try and parse it out and really hit it hard in the second set, and definitely in the third set if I need it. But it gives me energy. It actually helps you feel, your mitochondria actually, start burning all that great ATP, like your energy gets good, and it's not like a stimulant like caffeine, so you feel it in your body. Anyway, so I'm back to the contacts. So I got new contacts, so I'm like, maybe they're blurry because I'm dehydrated, I get back from the tournament. We did well. We didn't win it that time, but we did really well. We got to the semifinals. Anyway, but I got home, and my eyesight was still blurry. I'm like, that's weird. So I finally took my contacts out and thought, well, maybe I'll just wear my glasses for a day. Well, my eye was blurry. My left eye was blurry. I couldn't see with my glasses. So I called the doctor and I'm like, hey, something weird's going on. I need to come in and figure this out. And she said, okay, well, I can get you an appointment at 3:00 on Friday. And I was like, all right. Well, the next thing I know, they called me back right away, and I told them what was going on, or they told the doctor what was going on. The doctor's like, can you come in right now? I'm like, uh-oh, that's never good. So I went right in, and she did an eye pressure test. And the eye pressure in my left eye was 39, and normal is between 16 and 17. And so they were really concerned because what glaucoma is intense pressure on your optic nerve. And glaucoma can cause permanent blindness. So I sit there and she did the eye pressure test, and now the doctor is visibly freaking out. I'm like, okay, this isn't good. She's like yelling to one person to go and get on the phone and get me an appointment with a specialist. She's telling another one, go get these eye drops. Then she's writing me a prescription to get more eye drops. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, I just thought I had bad contacts. What's going on? So I got the eye drops. She got me an appointment, but the soonest they could get me into the specialist was Monday. It's Friday now. So the next morning I woke up and my eye was completely red. It was super light sensitive, and something had gone wrong. Something had gotten worse. So I had to go to see another eye doctor that was on call and have an emergency visit where they prescribed an additional eye drop. So now I have 3 different kinds of eye drops, and the eye pressure needed to come down. They told me I was having what was called a glaucomic cyclic crisis, which typically happens to women. And it typically happens when you're under a lot of stress, and that it literally puts so much pressure on your eye. So I met with another incredible doctor that is associated with the World of Wellness. Jamie Dorley put me in touch with Dr. Courtney, and he told me, okay, make sure that you're taking enough 7 flowers, which I was. So I went at the time up from 4 to 6. And to also add in our SPMs, which also help to manage inflammation. And through that, over the course of about 4 months, right, and 2020, and take our 2020, which is also great for eye health. So over the course of 4 months, I was able to get my eye pressure down, and it was really scary because it was like looking through a dirty shower door. So I knew something was wrong, like really blurry, and then lots of black floaters. And so now, this happened back in April, and so now I have a few black floaters that are still hanging around, but mostly it's gone. And I was told by Dr. Courtney over time those black floaters will eventually go away, so keep taking your 7 flowers and keep taking your SPMs. So that's a big part of moving for me from the allopathic side to more of a naturopathic side. I had to use both, right? I need the eye drops to get the pressure down quickly, but in order to continue to improve, I don't need the eye drops anymore. I just need to use the nutraceuticals to help bring it down. So that's both my heart and my eye. So what else have I done with Nutritional Frontiers? Well, we came out with an incredible product called Thermogenesis Complete. And this has got to be between this and Proline Greens chocolate, I think they are like my 2 favorite products that we've come out with this year. If you don't know, Nutritional Frontiers brought out 13 new products this year. That's a lot, especially for a company of our size. Many of the larger companies come out with maybe 2 products a year, 2 new ones, and they can't even keep SKUs in the building. So it's really nice that we were able to come up with these products. So Thermogenesis Complete. So that has really helped me change my body composition. I went to my nurse practitioner, Jacqueline Shedden, to get just want to get my blood work done, just kind of get an overall checkup, make sure I'm doing okay. And she has this scale that you step on. I think it's called an in-body scale or something along those lines. Now, no woman wants to get on a scale, okay, ever. Doctor's office or anytime. So I go in and the Nurse Debbie asked me to get on the scale. So I get on the scale and she tells me what my weight is. So my first big win was my weight was the same at 2 in the afternoon as it was first thing in the morning, because of course I had to check it the day I'm going to see her, right? So I was excited, win, okay. Then I get off the scale and I get this little printed readout. And I asked her, I said, so what else does it say? She said, wow, nobody ever gets this reading. I'm like, what reading? She goes, you have a standard physique. I go, is that good? She's like, yeah, it means you have an athletic build. I go, okay, that makes sense. I play a lot of tennis. She goes, no, it means more of your body weight is muscle than fat. And I was like, yes, okay, another win, because I'm not a petite person. So I was really excited that most of my body weight was muscle, okay? The guns, okay. So then she says to me, do you want to know your biological age? Because we know your chronological age is 55. And I'm like, I don't know, do we? She goes, yeah, you do. You're 41. Oh my gosh. So I have been able to reverse, if you can reverse aging, or as Joe likes to call it, healthy aging. I have been healthy aging backwards since I joined Nutritional Frontiers, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm really working on, natural ways to try and get my body in better shape. So thermogenesis has actually changed my body composition. I have abs again. I was like, I don't know if I should be wearing a bikini anymore, but now I'm like, maybe I will, So I'm feeling pretty good about how things have moved in my body. I take our Thyro Complete to make sure that all of my hormones stay in balance, and that I feel good every day, that I have the energy I need every day. I take, trying to think all of my regimen. It's so funny. Like when I travel now, I just put all of my supplements in little baggies because it's too much. I have too many bottles to bring with me, right? So I have to be smart about what I pack. So I take my Thyro Complete and my Thermogenesis every morning, as well as my 7 flowers and my EnerCoQ10, right? I told you my heart stuff, I gotta take that every day, my SPMs, and certainly my CircuCore. Those are must-haves every day. In terms of managing stress, occasionally I will do some Adrenamax, right? If I know I'm doing a lot of travel. Another thing that's a must-have that I keep with me at all times, in my briefcase, no matter what, I've got our Immunimax, because I travel so much. I need to make sure I keep my immune system high. I'm on a lot of planes and around a lot of people. The other thing that's always in my briefcase, our first product, Probzyme. Okay, Probzyme is a probiotic and enzyme. I take it religiously after every meal. I used to suffer from indigestion. I don't have that issue anymore, not with Probzyme in my back pocket. And the third thing that I always have with me is Calm Day, because it's just so nice to have if you're feeling a little anxious or stressed out. It really can help take the edge off without affecting your mind, without affecting your brain. So those are some of my key staples. It's really interesting too, in terms of my own personal family. My mom ran a hospital laboratory. She started out in the blood bank, making sure that you get the right blood during an operation, and was very traditional medicine. She and I had an experience. We went on a mother-daughter trip, and we went to one of the most haunted cities in if you believe in that stuff. But St. Augustine is the oldest city in Florida, and we walked into.
That's one of the most haunted cities?
Yeah, and we walked. I know Phil's like, what? So we walked into this jail. Bad idea. Okay, jail, lots of strife, not a good thing. We walked into this jail. And we're looking around, and I'm like, ooh, I just felt this pressure on my head. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. My mom's like, she turns to me, she goes, I don't feel right. There's something going on. I feel something on me. We gotta get out of here. And I'm like, this is my mom, traditional, medicine lady telling me she feels something weird. Okay, so we go outside, we sit down on a bench, and I go, okay, Mom, hold my hand, and I'm gonna get this off of us. And so I said a prayer, and I used the soul intelligence method to literally lift this entity off of my head and her head and send it on its way, gently and carefully. And we both turned and looked at each other, and I said, do you feel better? She goes, yeah, I do. Do you? I go, yeah. She goes, I said to her, I guess we better talk. So my mom finally tells me that when she was a young girl, she used to see things. So she used to see someone and know that they were going to pass, and then they would pass and she would get scared. And so we were raised Catholic, and as she was, and so she shut down all of her gifts because she became very afraid and didn't want to see that, didn't want to see someone transitioning. And so then she went the traditional medicine route. So she became, someone that worked in the hospital laboratory, that everything was science, and, she had the outcomes and she could measure everything. And so it was really wild that it took until I was in my 40s and she was in her 60s for us to even have this conversation, right, about what exists beyond the physical, and really being aware and open to energy and what's going on the other side. So we can all exist together, you know, it's not allopathic or traditional. There's usually some combination in the middle, and I can tell you when my mom went through her own transition from menopause, she started looking for alternatives because at the time she went through it, nobody would talk about menopause. Nobody would talk about premenopause. They wouldn't talk about any of the crazy symptoms, you know, that you go through and how do you manage that. And so she started looking at herbal remedies and different tinctures to try and help her. And so when I started to work with Nutritional Frontiers, she started looking at the products and looking at the ingredients compared to what she was taking, and she went, oh, these are way better. These are better ingredients. These are going to give me better results. And so I can say that we've actually converted her too, and that she's in some of the best health that she's ever been in. She's been able to manage her health a lot better. So Nutritional Frontiers has really impacted me, impacted my family. You know, it goes beyond just, you know, me and my mom to my sons, and now to my brother, and like certainly friends. I've got a girlfriend, a tennis partner who I've got her on my magic formula to keep me healthy and on the court, which is HA+, SPMs, and X-Flame. That basically helps you manage the joint health and keep the inflammation down, and keeps you moving and grooving on the court. She had her knee scoped earlier this year, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm out of HA+. You've got to get it for me." And so it was really a nice testimony that people in my life are really seeing the effects of how to treat the body well. And so my journey hopefully is like your journey, that you've become a big believer. You know, one of the reasons for being for me, or the key reason for being and being in alignment, is really helping making the world healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and ultimately energetically. And that's where the power of soul intelligence comes in. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about my method, or learning how to become a certified professional soul intelligence coach, you can go to soulintelligence.com/yes. If you are interested in learning more about all of the incredible products that are on sale here at the World of Wellness, everything is 30% off through the end of the month. Talk about giving the gift of health as an incredible present to your family this year. I just did that for my brother and sister-in-law. My sister-in-law is suffering from allergies terribly, so I got her hooked up on Air Max in a big way. My brother has a similar heart story, so I have given him my magic formula too, and that's a big present to them from me for the holidays. I would encourage you to go to wowpgh.com. You can check out all the products that are on sale, or come down to the World of Wellness right here on Baldwick Road and come and meet us in person, and we'll be happy to help you find whatever you need. So from my heart to yours, I wish you a very happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Festivus for the rest of us, and whatever you celebrate. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity